So we've already covered this topic this week, but I want to talk about this again because at the end of this video, I have a question I want to ask you. And this question is going to require you to put yourself in another person's shoes and maybe have a little bit of empathy, try and see things from their perspective. Because through my career, I've worked with people like this, and I do kind of have an empathy for where they're coming from. But now that there are numbers being put to the reason behind why, I want to see if you feel different to the comment section maybe on Tuesday. So we're talking about Charlie Mullins, who is the chap who founded Pimlico Plumbing, who basically sold the business in 2021, I believe it was, for £145 million. And we spoke a little bit about the millionaire exodus, where they're going. Now, Charlie has said he's had enough, he's up in sticks, and he's taking his stuff and he's leaving to Spain and Dubai. But he's actually put some numbers on it now. And when you look at the numbers, again, when I ask you this question, bear the numbers in mind, because I'm not sure that if I was in the same position, I wouldn't feel the same way. So this is something that he gave, or that he said in an interview to a tabloid earlier this week. All right. And I'm going to read you the quote here. It goes, "But now that Labour are in power, he says he is not prepared to give up £6 million to the Treasury in inheritance tax on his property when he dies." 6 million quid. Now, obviously, we don't know what the inheritance tax changes are going to be just yet. We have to wait until October 30th until we know. But from what's been spoken about currently, they might tweak the residence nil rate band, the nil rate band altogether, so your allowances altogether, and there's been rumours that they'll move inheritance tax from 40% possibly up to 54.4%. We don't know exactly what it is just yet. But his reason for leaving is because he doesn't want to pay 6 million quid on property when he dies. On top of that, the headline also states that he's already paid over £120 million in tax. That is a fortune that many people will never see in their careers, let alone their lives, that he's already paid in tax. And now that you put the numbers to it, you have to ask yourself, what would you do? And this is the question that I want to ask you. If you put yourself in Charlie Mullins' situation, where you've grown. Let me start from the beginning, actually. You had an idea, you registered the company, you went through surviving your first 1 to 3 years, because that's the death zone for most businesses. You've now scaled it, grown it, you paid tax during the time, you've sold it for 145 million quid. Now, obviously, there's business property relief on the sales proceeds, so you wouldn't have paid a hefty chunk of tax on the sale of the business for 145 million, but you paid taxes all the way through. And now you get to this juncture where you feel like, actually, taxes are unfair. I can go to Spain, I can go to Dubai and pay pretty much no tax whatsoever. What would you do? Would you leave? Would you feel exactly the same? Now, Keir Starmer has come out, and I think his argument is being, look, we're trying to make, and we want to make Britain the place to do business. And we mentioned this on Tuesday, right? It is now a challenge for the British government with increase in taxes. And for me, this is where I have a real conflict internally with this idea of capitalism. We live in a capitalist society where if you grow a business, you should be allowed to enjoy your legacy, what you've grown, the fruits of your labor, if you will. But when the government gets involved and taxes you to the point where, hang on a second, I paid 120 million pounds in tax already, now you want an additional 6 million quid for my properties, you're going to get to a juncture where you've had enough. And for me, this is where capitalism doesn't square. Yes, I get the point of building a business, enjoy the fruits of your labor, but when you have a society where the fabric of our social services, NHS, police officers, just things aren't working, who do you call? Who do you ask for the help? Who should bear more of the burden? And whilst I've talked about wealth tax on this channel, and I think, yes, they should introduce something where there should be a small tax. And Spain have done this where they've introduced something like a 1.3% tax for a short period of time on the wealthiest in the country. Why don't we think of that? But even that as an idea is unpalatable to those people who have means, who have built businesses, people like Charlie, who has now said enough is enough. So part of this is, is this him and maybe a cohort of millionaires who think like him calling the government's bluff? Will they be able to influence government? Because make no mistake, these guys will be donating to political parties to have influence in whatever shape or form. Maybe not as bad as, say, the US, but they'll be donating to the parties. And donations come with, I might pick up the phone one day, my friend, and ask you for a little something. See if you can oblige me. I don't think that it's conspiratorial to think that is the reality. So are they calling the government's bluff? Are they trying to force the government's hand? Are they trying to get them to second guess, to think about what they're planning on doing in October? I don't know. But I also see it from their side. So this is the question for you. If you were in the position where you had a hefty net worth and changes in October meant that, yes, you would have to give 6 million quid on the value of your properties when you die to the Treasury, and that meant that your kids couldn't have 6 million quid, what would you do? Would you up your sticks and leave? And by the way, it was funny. There's a piece of the article which I'm going to come back to here. And he's talking about his son specifically, right? So his son has started a business called We Fix, right? And he's saying that he would advise his son to do exactly the same thing if his son is able to grow his business to the success that he built his business to. Can you blame him? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. As you can see, I'm back home. I'm back home for 6 weeks right now. And I have to say, after being in 38, 39 degree heat, oh my God, is it cold. And it's not even that cold. But look, I want to thank you for all of the engagement over the past month. It's been really, really amazing, actually. The views on the channel have kind of gone up quite a bit. And I enjoy doing these kind of videos where we have a conversation. I think you guys like it as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, possibly tomorrow.